This video is a follow-up from a street and water committee meeting that was held recently concerning the SCADA system project improvements. I'm following the borough's policy on this one. And the borough's policy is to keep taxes down and keep water rates down. And that means only mandated projects or projects that are economically justified. And the situation that we're in currently is the project is not, the SCADA system improvement project is not economically justified, not even close. Cliff Hoffman, the street and water project coordinator, asked me to look at the report prepared by Levine Engineering February 22 concerning the economic justification of the project, and I did. And I wrote up a summary of that on May 4. And it shows that the project is not economically justified at this time, and it's not even close. And I have that right here in writing. And I'm not trying to, derail or disrupt. I'm just following the borough's policy, the council's policy, keeping taxes and water rates down. And we're in a situation where we're increasing costs and we're lowering the level of service. Okay? And that economic justification that I have in my hand, if you haven't read it, you should read it. But if you haven't read it, it was done when the project was $350,000, and now the project has ballooned and it's closer to $1 million. And I looked at it again, and the economic justification is even worse. And the situation is we're making expenditures that are not going to benefit future generations. The stuff that we're putting in now will be either obsolete or will need to be replaced in a relatively short period of time. So the vision of how that this is going to somehow make us more efficient is not something that's going to play out in the future, and it's not something that we could show on a piece of paper. Okay, so the project right now, we cannot show on a piece of paper that it's economically justified. And again, I'm not trying to disrupt or derail a train. I feel in a way I'm jumping in front of a train trying to stop it, and I'm not Superman. But the operations is on the same page as me as far as I know. First thing that came up at the meeting was the in terms of borough source water meter schedule recommendations by Dave Vinicola. And I went over those recommendations. The engineer, at least when I was there, didn't have any comment. And these are all great recommendations, okay? I put an economic value at 46,000 on there. It's actually more. Let's call it 50. So, in summary, we're replacing meters that are in the wrong place. We're replacing meters that are working. We're putting meters in that are larger than necessary. So we're running up costs on the meter, and it's not economically justified. So number one, the meter schedule recommendations that I made are all valid. They're great recommendations. I hope that you see the value in what I'm providing, but maybe you won't. We'll see what happens. On to the next issue, lowering the service level. When we talk about lowering the service level, we're talking about lowering the pressure. And Mark Tilson asked Engineer Levine, point blank, how low is the pressure going to go? And the engineer dodged the question completely. He deferred and he deflected the answer to the operators. Now we're paying this engineer close to $150,000 on this project, and it's going to be close to that, about 15%. And we asked a straightforward question: what will the pressure be after we change the way the system's operated and do all of these improvements. Everyone's in agreement the pressure is going to go down, but by how much? And then there was an ensuing conversation between the operators where I'm saying it's closer to 10 psi and Ron is at 2. We kind of said, well, 2 is not that bad. But the engineer never answered the question, okay? And I'm going to show you from his drawings really quick. There's going to be a static pressure drop of around 10 pounds, okay? And gravity tells you that. Just really quickly, Silverdale Reservoir overspills at 652 feet. That's right from the engineering drawings. And the Fairview Road Reservoir spill at 630, all right? In the future, we're going to be controlling off of that 630-foot reservoir, so it's going to be that high, that pressure is going to set the pressure of the system, or it'll be a little lower, because at 630 the reservoir is going to overflow. So the difference is 22 feet, the water, and I could convert that easily to pounds per square inch, and that's 9.5 pounds per square inch. So the static pressure drop, okay, at the school, which is about 46 now, just from the drawings, I'm getting this information, 46 pounds, so it'll drop to around 37, just the static pressure drop alone, driven by gravity, and the drop in the 22 feet, okay? Basically, we're going to shut Silverdale off, and we're going to pump water into the reservoirs at Fairview, which overspill. So we're going to lose pressure. Everyone agrees we're going to lose pressure. We don't know how much. And it's a simple exercise. All you got to do is turn 3 valves, and we can simulate that tomorrow, okay? We can do that. It's not a problem. So we need to find out, before we go forward and vote on this, what is the pressure reduction going to be? What's the service level reduction going to be? What's the fire protection level reduction going to be? Okay? And again, we're reducing the service level, we're increasing the cost. I mean, we bring the service level down and the cost down. I mean, that's one thing, but both are heading in the wrong direction with this project. Okay? So that's where the pressure situation is. Just in summary, the engineer was asked with the pressure drop, we're paying him big bucks, he didn't answer. He didn't answer the question. That's where it was left when I left the meeting. Will the SCADA, as it's proposed right now, at the $1 million number, is going to help find leaks? And the answer is absolutely, positively no. We have pressure gauges at the source of supply and also in the shop and the restroom, okay? And for example, right now, we have leaks. We have a lot of leaks, so we got a big one. But knowing the pressures at the sources, at the wells, okay, or in the shop, in the restroom, is not helping me find the leaks. And it's not going to help anybody find the leaks. So it was a little misleading, okay, to say that the SCADA, as it's spec'd out right now, is going to help find leaks. It isn't. The other thing that you need to understand, okay, and I'm going to go over this in another vlog, is what's the marginal cost of our water? What does the leakage loss cost us? So if we're leaking 100,000 gallons a day, what's that actually costing the borough? Because there's a cost to that. There's a loss. It's leakage loss, it's an economic loss. If you don't know what that number is, then you can't really make a decision on how much to spend on chasing down leaks. So I'm going to go over that. It's real simple to calculate, okay? And I'm going to show you that a little bit later. But the answer to the question, will the SCADA help me find leaks, help Ron find leaks, help Cliff find leaks? And the project as it is now, with the $1 million expenditure, it's not going to help us find leaks at all. It's just going to allow you to look at pressures, okay, a pressure at the sources over your phone, which is not going to help us at all. So in summary, we could go over things really quickly. The meter schedule is valid. No one's contesting it. The meters that, if you put all those meters in, they're eventually are going to have to be replaced, okay? So we have meters that are working, we plan on replacing them. We plan on replacing meters with the bigger size, totally unnecessary. It's actually causing additional plumbing. I mean, if you take a 4-inch meter out and you put one in, it's fine. But if you take a 4-inch meter out and you put a 6 in, well, you got to change the plumbing. So it's driving up the cost to put larger meters in, installation and actually the cost of the meter. So that's valid. No one contests that at this point. The pressure drop is going down. Pressure's going down. We don't know how much. We could find out quick. Won't take much time at all. We could simulate what's going to happen by turning 3 valves. Shut Silverdale off, and then open up a valve that fills the Fairview Road reservoirs. Just open it up. Right now, it's normally closed. It only opens during a fire. Okay? The finding leaks, I'm not going to help find leaks. I don't know where that went, but Ted was kind of misled to believe, for whatever reason, that the skate is going to help find leaks. Ted, you need to know what the cost of the leakage loss is, all right? When that number goes up high enough that it justifies the cost of purchasing special sounding equipment, that's when you pull the trigger. And I'll tell you right now, I routinely went to the conferences at Penn State and I talked to LB and the guys who sell those. And I say, hey, what's going on with the little sounding devices? And they say they're getting a little smaller and they're getting more powerful and they're getting less expensive. And I go, hey, are they pulling the trigger on this? Are these little systems pulling the trigger on this yet? And they go, no, they're not pulling the trigger yet. So, you know, you get the information from going to these conferences, and they're once a year. They're designed for small water systems, okay? And you could also, I know how to do the economics and then justify them when it is, and it isn't right now. So that's where you're at. We're pretty much at the optimal way of doing it until technology, you know, a wave will come and will make it economically justified. All right? So the project as it stands is not economically justified. I'm following the borough's policies, okay? That's what I'm doing. I'm not doing what I want to do. I'm not doing what Ron Scheer wants to do or what Cliff wants to do or what any individuals want to do. I'm just following the borough policies, trying to be a good employee. Now, there is a capital improvement project which is on the books, which is economically justified. And if the council were to look at this, okay, it's a project that'll last 100 years. And what that means is when I'm dead, when everyone's dead here, that project will still be benefiting the borough residents. And that's a tank at the proper size and elevation, okay? And the beauty of it is, once you set that up, and the system, what makes it special is it has run completely on Silverdale, so we didn't have to pump at times, okay, when the Silverdale spring is in high production. And if we put a reservoir the other end of town at about the same elevation as Silverdale, and I could design it, the proper height and, you know, size, you have gravity controlling the system. So when Silverdale reservoir is overflowing, and if this reservoir is at the same elevation, water seeks its own level, okay, it'll continually fill this, and it'll never overflow. It can't, you know, if it's driven by 652 feet, and this is 652, it'll never, so you'll never waste any water, but it'll always, and that's a gravitational law, okay? So you're putting gravity in there, and it's automatically controlling the tank levels at Fairview. If you put it at the right elevation, you put it in the right size. So you're not sacrificing the level of service and driving up costs. You're actually making it simpler, okay? But where we're headed now is we're making things way more complicated than they need to be, okay? And we're investing in an automation SCADA system where it's no payback, all right? So the way to get to that tank, and we can do that without affecting the budget and spending down our emergency capital reserves. So we don't have to go into our capital reserves to build this tank, okay? I know how to do it, all right? All we got to do is do a little bridge SCADA project to get the information that we need on a cell phone, if you want it there. We're not far away from that. So a little SCADA bridge project, and then let technology catch up with that SCADA system. Put in our legacy visionary gravity control by installing a tank that's going to last 100 years, okay? And that tank, if we do the SCADA right now, we put the meters in right now, we did all the plumbing and system improvements, all the wiring, etc. That will all have to be replaced, okay, in the relatively near future. But that tank will, if you put the tank in, it'll be serving the community reliably. It's a hard asset. Put it in at the right place. They'll look back 50, 75, 100 years from now and say that this council was visionary to put that tank there, okay? So if there's an emergency situation, okay, and all the power goes out, etc., gravity doesn't need electricity. Gravity will flow from the Sulvendale Reservoir, okay, and push that reservoir, try to fill that reservoir. So you got gravity working for you. So even in an emergency, if we lose all of our power, whatever, things could happen, Montoursville residents will have water, okay? That's what you're setting yourself up for. You know, that's where we'd like to head the system. This is what makes the system the jewel of the county. The visionaries who put the Sulvendale Reservoir would be served well by the visionaries that are sitting here in the council today to put that tank in there and let gravity take over and start working for us, okay? So it's not like I don't have an alternative project for the council. So it shows that, and I have, that the project is not economically justified, as it is right now. And I've also shown we do have a project that can be economically justified without spending down our emergency reserves, and it could be done within the budget, the current existing budget. And the bridge SCADA upgrades, just minor upgrades to our existing SCADA to get it on our phone, could be done within our existing budget. So I hope you found this useful. I hope you found this information useful, okay? And what I'm going to do is send out a little vlog on mixers which we're putting in the tanks. We've been down the mixer road, and mixers specified for this project. They're totally unnecessary. They're, of course, not economically justified at this time. But I have a little 11-minute video on that, and I would say it's worth about $3,000 a minute. Actually more. So if you take the time to look at it and understand it, you'll find that we're putting mixers in the tanks, okay? We're running wire to the tanks, power to the tanks, and we're going to be running mixers when it's totally unnecessary, okay? So there's a lot of things that are not good about the current project, okay? All right. The other item I'm going to get to is the marginal cost of water. Get it? Every council member should understand that, and every council member should know off the top of their head what the average residential customer pays for water. Okay? I've been trying to get the information to calculate that for 10 years. But anyway, I appreciate your time. I hope you found the review of the meeting useful, and it helps you make a great decision when it comes to the system upgrades and the SCADA situation. Thank you.